Hello viewers, we take this time again to welcome you to GMTV 42. And today we have our man of God, Pastor Christopher, who will inspire us with the life story. And again, this story will be helpful to you. Before we start, man of God, let us sanitize. Yes, COVID-19 is here with us. COVID-19, yes, you have to clean. Yeah, very true. Yeah. Thank you. That's enough. And viewers, please wash your hand, sanitize your hand, keep the distance. We are keeping the distance also, and we thank God. So, Pastor Christopher, welcome to GMTV 42. Please tell us about yourself.
What a privilege to be in GMTV 42. And I bless the Lord for the GM42 for giving us this opportunity just to even hear ourselves in. My name is Christopher MESA. I'm a pastor of Victory Africa Gospel Church here. I'm married. I have one wife, married to one wife called Judy Chepkrui. We have a newborn baby by the name Faith. She's barely 2 weeks now. And we thank God for her. Personally, I want to thank God for this time, and I know it is a great honor for you to give me to be here, even to share my life story.
Thank you so much. And I, Paul OTIENO, your host. Today, Pastor will talk more. And Pastor, please tell us about your journey, your life story.
Well, I'm born a Kisii. My father was a Kisii. My mother is a Turkana. Raised up in a very difficult nomadic environment. My father loved my mom, but after some times they had to part ways. So when they parted ways, life was so hard for me as when I was growing up. And I personally opted to become a street child. So in that I needed someone to love me, I needed someone to encourage me. And now that I could not find that love in our home, so I ran to the street. I had to stay in the street for many years. And I had to live a life of being a street, you understand? No blankets. Food you eat, the thrown out food, you will go to the garbage, you pick the food, you find whatever rubbish is in the garbage, you only set aside the rubbish, you take the food, and we will take this food and go and boil it by the riverside. And we had people who are leaders by then, who are owning us. Like we go collect food, we bring them, we cook. We used to cook them with the gorogoros, we call them in Kiswahili. So we will cook and we will eat, and we will sleep in the corridor. Life was not so easy as such. We will sleep. We had no house to sleep. We will sleep by the stalls. We will sleep in the bathrooms. We will sleep under the corridors of people's houses. And God was actually also watching over me there. It was until one time when a situation changed. I was sick. And this time I was by the bridge, River Tarkwell there. And I was actually dying. All the street boys had left, and I was just lying down in the street there. I was lying behind the bridge there. And as you know, River Tarkwell, there is that river that gets open. By then, the waters were not there. So at that time is when a man was coming from work. And when he looked down the bridge, he looked at me. And he dropped down, he came and he picked me, and he took me to the hospital. Taking me to the hospital on that day, he told the doctor, please take care of him. He paid my medication fee. And after the doctor had medicated me, he bought me 1 packet of milk.
And if I may ask, that time, how old are you?
I was about 9 years of age.
That time you were 9 years. Okay.
Yeah. And he identified with me, began bonding with me. And after bonding with me, he told me next time I'll be coming from work. When I come from work, I will pass by and you will see me and we will go with you. So he made friendship with me. He introduced me to his home. But now that he could not trust me, he could not keep me into his house. He will prepare food. After he had prepared food, he will give me the food. So until he came to know me is when he began to allow me inside his house. And I used to like music so much. So when the music inside, I will dance. So it was up to the time when the job were done. So they decided to move to their to their homeland in the place called Seme Kolunje.
So this guy was coming from Seme.
Yeah, he was coming from Seme.
So at a time, it could be the person providing you the food
Yes.
and the place to sleep.
Yes. Now that having taken me out of street, he took me to his house, so he would provide food for me, a place to sleep. And when I reached to Seme, I was introduced to taking care of the animals. The best work I could do by then was just to look after the cows, dig with the cows very early in the morning. After you dig with the cows, plowing, holding the djembe with the cows, and after that time, you will come back. One time, something happened strange to me, is that we dug with the cow for a long time. And after digging with the cow, I went to look after the cow, but I fell asleep. I slept under a tree, and the sleep took me, and the cows went and ate someone maize. So, like when you look at my feet here, there is a mark that reminds me on the day I slept on my duty. And that the owner, the one who adopted me, came and he found the cows were locked out. So he took that cane with the nail in it. So he hit me on this. That is the day I said, no, he's not my father. I went to Maseno police station and I reported this case. I was kept in Maseno police station for 6 months as investigation was being done, and he was also being told to tell of my original home. So in Maseno police station, I stayed there for 6 months. After that is when I was taken back to my people.
You were in a cell, or
No,
who are you staying with?
I was called police mdogo by then, actually. So all the wafungwa will come and I will cane him as they move in. And I was staying with the inspector. Actually, it was a favor those people gave me. And after that, the Land Cruiser, after they had known, because what I knew was the name of my mother, and it was known that I stay in Takwel. So they had to connect from the police of Maseno to Kitale. We spent a night there. After Kitale, we went to Takwel. We found the policemen in Takwel. And by good luck, these policemen in Takwel were all customers of my mom, because there was a frustration after my mom left. She began to brew alcohol, and the lifestyle now was hard, so it was through brewing alcohol. So on that day, reaching our home, actually I was taken with 3 Land Cruisers, and reaching our home, people were about to scatter, but people was they say to the people, don't run. So I was brought in. My mom could not recognize me at that time, and the people there were all drunkards, and my mom appreciated all these people by giving all the police officers one got of saying thank you for having brought back. And that day was like the story of a prodigal son. A prodigal son has come back. We sat on the floor of our house. It was a muddy house. We sat on that floor, and my mom said, no, those people are bad. You should have not, don't speak the language of their people, because she felt like they stole me. So I was welcomed there, and that is when I moved back to our home. And my life since then is when I found someone ministering the gospel, an open air meeting. And when I was attending, I said, one time I'll want to be a pastor. And so I've gone to a humble school, and my education is not so high, but I've gone to school, and every move in my schooling, I've always seen the hand of God. I've never paid any fees for myself. I have joined, even when I was joining a Bible school, someone just chipped in and they stood for me. My first Bible school, I studied there, and even in my second Bible school, I studied there. There was just the grace and the favor of God upon me. But what I would like to say to everyone who is listening and who is making a follow-up is that the present situation you are facing is not the determinant of your future, because our lives are in the hands of God. And because our life are in the hands of God, that was the first time I was received home. The second time I was received at home.
Before you go to the second time,
Yes.
you were from street to Maseno cell,
Yes.
from Maseno cell back to your home.
Yes.
And that's where you get favored to go back to school.
Yes.
And again, your mom, was she living with your other siblings or your mom was alone?
Yeah. By then, my mom was with the other siblings.
Okay.
We are 3 in our family. Yes. And so I went to school. After the schooling, when I was joining my Bible school, is when I wanted to know where is my root. So this time, I wanted to know the home of my father.
Okay.
So when I discovered, that time I remember I was confused. I failed the exam in the school because there was too much confusion of whom am I. So when I reached home, there was the home of my dad. So there was a big excitement. My sisters were there. My father was a polygamist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were other sisters, now from other mother.
From the other mother.
Okay.
They were so excited to see me. With that excitement, my uncles were jealous. They say the son of Zachariah Meza Nyabeni has come back and he is after the possession of his dad.
So like the prodigal son, the elder son was very angry to see the prodigal son being welcomed. Well, were you with your mom at this?
No, I was by myself. I was by myself. You know, the urge of a man wanting to know their home, you can never stop that. I just stressed. I had to spend a night somewhere before I reached in the home, because that day I dedicated, even if it will take me 1 month, I must know my home. So there, my sisters were happy. But after some time, things changed. The uncles began ganging up. They said, now this man has come. And because he has come, he will want to identify all the belonging of his father. So they hired people who were intended to come and kill me. I can remember one incident. I was chased forcibly from our home. The uncle came and he forcibly evicted me, and they escorted me by the road, telling me, we don't recognize you within this community. That was the time I could not believe that I went to my father and they are chasing me out.
And now, what was the further reaction? Because
My
you
father
were
by then was dead. I went and I only saw the graveyard, and I was just told he was buried there. But I also looked at the similarity. We look like my sisters, and I said, well, this is home. Okay. But that alone, I left, but I kept on coming because I could not believe that I was sent out of my own home. And I kept on coming until when I kept on until they, I remember there was a little enmity that the sisters were influenced, that was instilled into them to making them believe that I'm wrongfully believe part of this family. So what happened is they hired people to kill me. But one time they called a meeting in our home there to ascertain if truly I was the son of that family. So over 1,000 people came. Even the area chief was bribed. And my grandmother was given money to go and drink so that she cannot attest to say that I belong to their home. And on that time, I was not given a chance to talk. I was never given a time to talk. I was seen as an outcast, and everyone was just against me. But only when I was given a time to talk, I only remembered I shared the story of Jephthah. Because he was the son of a prostitute. They say that he will not have anything in this family. So on that time, the people were also coming to the meeting.
and before, are you trying to say these people did not recognize your mother?
My mother was there. That time, it was immediately after my graduation, actually. And my mother was there, and the 1,000 people, all of us were seated in the field on that day.
And your mom was also present?
My mom was also present. but they denied the fact that I was born in that home. And I went to my mom and gave my mom transport and said, Mom, the road I take and the road you take, you don't need to know. And I said to these people, I now am a God possession. And now that you've denied me the opportunity to be part of the family members, I am a God's possession. And so far since then, I've belonged to God. I have served in Eldoret. God has given me friends. I've come to Kisumu in a place where I don't have anyone. God has given me friends. And even as I'm talking to you, I receive more calls. They tell me to come back home. But now I'm settled. That's why here I'm to say to everyone who is living, there are people who can be facing rejection. Well, you know, some other times I don't like speaking about my past, but past is what makes me. I'm not ashamed of my past because I never chose to be what I am. It's only that God allowed me to pass through what I went through. Neither am I complaining, but what I want to encourage someone is your past will be a story to develop you in the future. So you don't need to dwell so much in the past, but you cannot also forget your past. Right now, maybe you're watching at me and maybe you are going through a difficult situation. You might have gone through rejection. You might have gone through a life that you are abandoned. You might have gone through a life that you feel like there's no one like you. Me, I was like a prodigal son twice in our family. And terrible things have been always happening to me. But what I know right now, my mom gave her life to Christ. The greatest joy I want to let you know. Right now, my mom is committed to the things of God. My brothers are committed to the things of God. Everyone in our family is born again. And each one of them, when we have a meeting, they call me and they have just given me respect. And I even get people connect with me right now. They are relating with me. Not that I have anything, but I have God in me. And so with the God I have, I know he's able to change situation. And with the situation Sam has now, I was a street. Right now, I'm also a street preacher. So like being from a street, I am also a street preacher. So it is my joy just to share the word of
You
Christ.
mean by street preacher? I know some people will take it like a street boy, a preacher who stay in the street.
Yes.
You mean you are preaching in the markets when you get time? You are preaching to people, in those who are in the bus park, those who are in the market.
Not actually preaching in the bus park, but every street where I see a congregation, I lay my one speaker there and I preach Christ. And this is what the fulfilling ministry that God has given me. And so I'm here to let people know that you just need to be passionate of what you are. Whatever God has called you to be, just pursue that. Never lose heart. Look unto God and know that God is able to see you through.
At this moment, do you have a church?
Yeah, I have a church at the moment. I have a vibrant congregation, and we are fellowshipping at Victory Africa Gospel Church right here in Kisumu. Right here in Kisumu, Ezra Gumbe, before the showground, we run our services there. And they are a home to me, and I feel each one of us says that it's a homey. And so I thank God because God can always make you live anywhere. So don't be limited by what you're going through.
So at this moment, your people recognize you as a son of that soil.
Right now, they are so much demanding me to go back home, but you know, some other times you must be a little expensive, huh? The calling I have is quite a big calling, eh? To be in the Lord. After all, what else do I need in this world? I have believed God. I'm planning to buy my own land. Right now, God has given me a wife, beautiful baby, I call her Faith, and I am laying my own foundation. Not that I had a difficult time forgiving my people there at home. That now they have chased me. Now they have not allowed me to be back at home. But as time went by, I rediscovered that the way to go is you learn to forgive.
Yeah.
So you learn to let go. So whatever, you don't need to hold grudges upon anyone. I am so much in a good relationship with all of them, and I'm peaceful, and I also want to let someone who is maybe also going through a similar situation that I might have gone through, that you need to be at peace with yourself. You need not to allow depression, stress to finish you, because if you are surrounded, if you limit yourself from not allowing God to work in you, then you might mess up yourself.
And now, the advice you can give to those who are in the street by now. What can you talk?
Well, to the streets, I know some of you are not there by choice. There are situations that might have forced you to be there. Some of you might have gone there to seek love, and some of you, what I want to let you know is that you can change from street. You only need to look for someone who is positive minded. I thank God for the same person. He picked me out of the street. And I'm also here to call upon the people who are staying around the street people around where you are. You just need to extend a hand of olive. You need to extend your hand to them, encourage them. And if there is a way you can pick a child in the street there, take to a school. You change a child's life, God will truly bless you.
Amen. Viewers, that was Pastor Christopher, and we thank God for his life. One thing I've learned is that God loves you. God loves you. So just trust in the Lord, and everything will be okay. And your final remarks, Pastor?
My final remark is the joy God has given me, and what I also want to say to you, God can give you. And I want to say to you that you hold your future in your hand. And every one of you is created to be someone great at something. So you just believe in yourself and pursue yourself to becoming what God has intended you to be.
Amen. God bless you so much, and may you have good time. Next time, same place, we'll have so many to tell our people, and so many people who have inspired other people's life will be in this desk. Thank you so much, man of God. God bless you.